Good morning. It's the 5th hour of the day, and I'm up as usual doing my reading and some writing. I like to read for at least a couple of hours every morning, first thing when I get up, and then also do some writing before the day really starts to get going. And I realize that I don't have a job that I need to leave the house for at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and then be gone most of the day. But still, even though I'm here most of the day, most days, I feel that once the rest of the world wakes up, once everyone else is out and about, I can't find that focus, at least not as easily, to do my reading, to just sit here for a couple of hours in silence and to just do that. And so I've decided to wake up early and to do that which is most important to me in my day first and not last, as most of us do and as I used to do, because we think that we have these duties and requirements and obligations that we need to get done first in order that we may reward ourselves with what we really want to do or know that we should be doing in a day, which is the work of life, which is our human work, which is the work that all our other work should be for. This shouldn't be a luxury. This shouldn't be something that we get to do if we have any time and energy left over in the day. Talked about this before. It needs to come first. What's first needs to come first. And if we put anything above it, the first will come last, and often it won't come at all. Because these are the habits that are easiest to disrupt. Right? If you're sitting, you're reading, you want to read for a couple of hours and there are constant interruptions, there's noise, there's things going on, it's probably not the best environment to read. But I come here every morning and I grab one of these, the words of one of our friends off the shelf, and I read what they suggest, and I read what they have seen and the insights that they have to offer. And I consider them, and I sit here and I think about them, and perhaps I write about them a little bit. And every single thing, every single idea that I now have a deep belief in, that the meaning of my life, so to speak, consists of, and every single idea that you've ever heard me speak about on this channel that perhaps made you think, oh, that's interesting, I haven't thought about that like that before, maybe I should think about that more, and have gotten some kind of value out of, some kind of insight or prompt for you to gain your own insights. It all comes from the sacred, quiet time in the morning in which I can read, think, write. And I'm constantly suggesting that you do the same, because that's all I have ever done in my life, to gain all the ideas and the beliefs in them and the faith in them and the pleasure in them, of knowing them, of having the privilege of having my life guided by them. I have done all of that in these few hours in the morning. And this is not to say that everyone should get up at this hour and do so many hours of reading and writing and this and that. It's not about that at all. But when I was waking up this morning, I thought, why do I get up most of the year well before the sun's up or there's any kind of light in the day? And why do I do that even though technically I have other times in the day where I could do this? And I realized that the work of life this work of finding happiness, this work of finding meaning, of finding friends that lived in the past that we'll never meet, but that we cherish so much, requires that. It requires dedication. And that's good news, because we like to think that we live in a world that for us to gain happiness, for us to gain meaning in life, for us to be fulfilled, requires intelligence, requires to study a lot, or that it requires wealth, to be born rich or to be rich. But despite what a lot of you seem to think in the comments, I am not a billionaire. I do not have a trust fund or anything like that at all. And I consider myself average, if not a little bit below average intelligence. I certainly have no reason to believe that it's much higher than that. But that's actually good proof that this work of life, it does not require intelligence, and it does not require wealth. It really doesn't. Because what a cruel world it would indeed be if anyone who strives for happiness and meaning in life, which is everyone who has ever lived, would only be able to attain that if they went to big colleges, studied for 4, 5, 10 years, and only then had any chance of grasping this super complicated concept of happiness, of what makes us happy, of finding meaning in life. That would indeed be a cruel world, because most people would not have the resources, the time, the intelligence to achieve that. And similarly, it would be cruel if this was somehow a money thing. If we needed wealth, if we need to be born wealthy even to achieve happiness. But no, truly, the more I do the work of life, the more I see others do it, the more I realize no matter what kind of privilege or challenges you have in your life, what is really crucial is dedication. If dedication lacks, there's absolutely nothing to do with that. No amount of wealth, no amount of intelligence will get us even close, anywhere close, to finding meaning in our lives and to find happiness. We often say, oh, I don't have the time. I'm not a wealthy person. I'm not rich. I need to go to work. And I work all day. And then I come back and I'm exhausted. And I can't read and write. I can't do this work. I can't do whatever it is that my exploration of life, of ideas, of happiness requires. I don't have time for that dedication. I don't have the resources for that dedication. But I tell you positively and with certainty that none of that is required. Whatever time we have, whatever resources we have, they are enough. They are enough to gain the meaning of life, to gain happiness, if only there's dedication. Truly. Everything else is an excuse. And again, I say that from experience. I used to make those excuses. Still do sometimes to some degree. But it's truly the only thing. Those excuses are the only thing that stands between us and doing the work of life. And this is easily provable to yourself. You can do this to yourself and with yourself, and you don't need anyone for this proof. Just think about every single time that you've let go of a notion of a preconceived notion, of a superstition, of a stereotype, of any kind of belief or opinion that you realized was wrong, that wasn't serving you well at all, that was holding you back. It was simply you misunderstood something, or you believed in something that simply does not correlate with reality. And as soon as you realize that, you drop that belief, you drop that opinion. You don't want to have it. You don't want to believe in something or have a behavior, a habit that keeps you back, right? So you drop it, you stop doing it. If you lose the meaning in a belief, in an idea, in an opinion, you can't help but drop it. And so every time that happened, did that ever happen because you purchased it? Is there any place to go to where we can pay a certain amount of money and we walk out of the place with our false beliefs and opinions erased from us? So that's the wealth aspect of it. Is there any place in terms of intelligence, in terms of studying, that we can go to where we will automatically be rid of our preconceived notions, of our false beliefs and opinions, without us having to lift a single finger? Is there a place that we can go to, close our eyes, and have an hour, 2 hour, 10-hour session of something in which we're not really involved, in which someone else is doing something to us, and magically those false beliefs disappear? There's no such thing. Happiness, the meaning of life, faith, this highest good is neither attainable via money. You can have all the money in the world, you could not attain it just with money. And it's not attainable with intelligence. You could have the highest IQ ever recorded in the history of the world, and it wouldn't mean anything in terms of this. A low IQ applied to false beliefs is just as wrong as a high IQ applied to false beliefs. 10 years of study on the wrong thing is just as wrong as 1 minute of study. But what everyone has in common, who has found their own personal meaning in life, their own beliefs that they have full faith in, that they live for, that they would die for, that they cherish, all different ages, different cultures, different languages, different religions, different upbringings. They lived in different times and different places in history, but they have one single thing in common. They dedicated themselves to the exploration of ideas. And this is not just through reading. This is not just through reading the insights of others or the ideas of others, but also a discourse that happens when we not only read, and there's passive reading, there's active reading. I could grab one of my most cherished books here on the bookshelf behind me, and if I'm reading that while I'm thinking about what someone said to me last week, or the things I could be worrying about in the future, tomorrow, next year, and I read it in that way, I would get none of the things that I got from that book. It could be, and many of these books are actual treasure chests of meaning and happiness and ideas and beliefs, and I wouldn't be able to get a single one of them. I could be the most intelligent person on earth. I could be the wealthiest person on earth. I would get nothing from them. But ever since I discovered that all it takes is dedication, what I do is I show up here every morning that I can, 5 a.m, and I sit down, and whatever book I grab, whatever idea I grab, whatever belief I grab, whatever insight I grab, there's nothing else in the world to me at that moment. and during that time. And that's my dedication. I know I need to get up. I need to get out of bed first. I need to be conscious. I need to be awake. That's one part of it. It's a series of simple, very attainable, achievable things that have nothing to do with money or intelligence. I set my alarm. I go to bed at an appropriate time to be able to get up at that time. These are all very simple things that anyone can do. And I get up and I come here and I sit down, I grab whatever book I'm reading, and I give it my attention. I give it my focus. I give it my time. And I read every sentence as if it was my dearest friend telling me their highest thoughts, their deepest beliefs in this hour when everyone else is still sleeping. And we're just here sitting and talking about the highest ideas that we've ever had. And I do that for however much I can. I like to do it for a couple hours. Sometimes it's 0, sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's a little more than 2 hours. Whatever I can do, whatever the logistics of that day allow. It's not about doing it for a certain amount of time. It's not about doing it at a certain place. It's about making the best move that you can. It's about dedicating yourself as much as you can. Of course, there are the logistics of the day, things that happen that sometimes prevent you physically coming into here and sitting here and doing these things. But there are so many days where nothing prevents us. Or rather, nothing external prevents us. And it's only our lack of dedication that does so. We can't find the motivation because there are those voices in our heads that say, well, it would be much easier to just stay in bed. It would be much easier to just talk to a friend right now on the phone. It would be much easier to just watch some guy talk on YouTube right now. There's a time for all of those things, but there's a time for the work of life. And that comes first, both in priority, and to me, comes first in the day also. But of course, it doesn't have to necessarily. And this is the only thing that is required of us if we want to achieve happiness, purpose, meaning in life, and deep-rooted, beautiful, loving beliefs that make us feel good. We talked about selfishness before. This is true selfishness. Truly, there is nothing that is preventing us. All those things that are going on in the outside world, they go on for everybody. We're not the only ones. Yet some people are able to do the work of life, able to achieve their happiness despite them having no money, despite them having busy lives, chaotic lives maybe, and despite being not at all smart, not at all intelligent, not at all learned, not at all having studied for many, many years, having doctorates or whatever, master degrees. None of that means anything. As long as we make the best move that we can, truly, if we are making the best move that we can, whatever it is, it's enough. It's enough for this, which happens to be the highest good, the work of life, and happiness. Try that. If you believe that someone is holding you back, if you believe that circumstances in your life are holding you back, and if you believe that there's no meaning to life, and that your life doesn't have meaning, try for one day to put first things first. Try for one day. What I say has changed my life. It's just a suggestion. Try it. Try, as I say, here he is, picking up our friend Seneca. These are his letters. I suggest to do this. And we have a whole book club called the Book Club Like No Other. where we take one letter out of Seneca's Letters on Ethics. And I chose this book, and this book did it for me because, see, you can start a letter 78, and it only goes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 pages. And then there's letter 79. And I selected this letter randomly. This is actually a longer one, I think. Most of them are just 2, 3, 4 pages at most. So what that means is you can read this in one sitting. In one sitting. You might just have 10 minutes, 15 minutes that day to read. Totally enough. There's no one in the world who does not have 10, 15 minutes for reading a day. At least most days. No one in the world. And there's no one in the world who doesn't have enough money to read something like this for 10, 15 minutes a day. This copy is relatively expensive. I think it's $40 or something. But since this is something that was written almost thousands of years ago, I link on the website to a free translation of this. Free. All the letters complete. It's complete letters. So there are truly no excuses. There are no external forces that keep us. Maybe they keep us on this day or that day, but there are no external forces that keep us overall in life from doing the work of life, as I call it. Give this a chance. Give this one day. Try it for one day. So we take, like I said, a letter, and we read it in one sitting, and then we journal about it. So that way, we're both doing the reading and the writing. We're discoursing with Seneca and with ourselves, and we're convincing of ourselves of the highest, most beautiful ideas ever thought of. And this work does not take that long. And if you want to join it, if you want to try it, if you want to read my journal entry, so that it's like we're doing it together. You write on the same letter, I write on the same letter, and you get to see both. Then you can join this book club of ours. It's on the website at acceptingtheuniverse.com. You just sign up for the newsletter, and that's how I send you my journal entry along with other things, such as reading recommendations, my quote of the week, favorite quote of the week, and other things. And truly, I have invited you before. I am inviting you now, and I will keep inviting you to that which is of the highest worth, order, and good. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. And no one can pay for that for that meaning of life. And no one can attain it through some degree or a piece of paper that says that you studied something for so many years. No matter what you do, no matter if you have that piece of paper or not, what it takes is dedication. What it takes is showing up and doing the work of life.